Okay guys, so now that you've spent a little time looking at scatter plots, you can see that bivariate data can be expressed that way, where you see these little bits of data sort of scattered around the quadrant one. And then you look for either a strong or, weak, whatever the situation is, of correlation. So if all of the points are in a perfect line, it's said to be perfect. If they're close to the line, it's said to be strong. If they're a little more scattered away from the line, then it's said to be moderate, and then you work your way down to whether or not it has a correlation at all. The strongest correlations will be at 1 and at -1. The negative only references the trend of the data. So really, when you think about it in absolute value, 1 is perfect. So if you have -0.8 as your correlation coefficient for one and -0.6 for the other, the -0.8 will show the stronger negative correlation. And it looks like you guys did well on that. So what I want to do is start introducing your calculator to you. We're gonna learn Monday and Wednesday. Friday will be your catch-up day, and then you guys are done. Unless you have work you have to make up on that following Monday. But 8th graders are going to be done with me by end of day on Friday, okay? So let's get going here. You're gonna need your calculator to be handy so we can take a good look at this. And I am gonna try and set this up in a way that actually will be helpful. All right, so the good news is they don't start us out with a boatload of data to deal with. Sorry if I'm getting you dizzy. What we're gonna do is look at the situation. So the whole point of statistics is for you to be given some data, and then within the framework of that data, you're gonna try and make sense of it. And what you're gonna do is make predictions based on that. So predictions based on within the data that they give you are considered interpolated because you're inside the data parameters. And if you were to go out of the parameters, meaning like if I wanted to know what 5 might fall, what might be a good output if the input was 5, that would be interpolating because you're inside the data that's given. But if you wanted to know what it might be if we were at 15, well, that's extrapolating because you're outside, you're outside the area of the data. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as it goes. Now, when we were back in school, we used to have to make the grid, plot the points, and I probably would have had you do 1 or 2 of these had we been in school, but we do have our handy dandy calculator to do this for us. So what I would like to do for you is have you open up your calculator, and let's just clear all calculators. I want you to get in the habit of clearing it. So you're going to second function with the plus key, and then you hit 7, 1, 2, and you should have your memory cleared. Okay, now we're going into statistics, so you're going to press statistics, and we're going to go into edit because we're going to add some information into that screen. Now, you're gonna go and put all of the input in first and then the output. So care needs to really happen between the numbers that you're placing in and which ones they're paired with. So 2 is the first, then 3, then 4, then 8, then 11. And you'll notice that there are 5, okay? And now I'm gonna go up here and move over, and the 26 is paired with the 2, 24 is paired with the 3, 28 is paired with the 4, 12 is paired with the 8, and 14 is paired with that. So I have 5 pieces of data and the points are shared. I just double check that and I'm good to go. Now we're gonna go into second function stat plot. You can see the statistics plot is off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna press enter and get in there, press enter again and turn it on. Now the one that's actually lit up right now, that is the scatter plot. I know it's kind of hard to see on mine, but you'll see it pretty good on yours. Remember this guy on the bottom in the middle, he is your box and whisker for univariate data. And this is histograms. We worked on those last year. If we had some extra time, I could show you what those look like in the calculator, but right now we're just gonna focus on bivariate data. Now, you'll see here L1 and L2, that's the list that are going to be involved in this. So we're gonna press, we're gonna go graph this, press enter first and turn this on. Now you're gonna go into Zoom, and I usually go up on this because I know that it is, you know, coming up here, but it's Zoom stat, Zoom 9, doesn't matter if you go up or down, whatever, as long as you get to Zoom 9s. So there is my scatter plot. Now, you know, it doesn't look fantastic, it's only 5 points, but what do we know? We know there's a negative trend. If we were to put a line of best fit through it, it might be right around here, like right through there. The points, my pencil's pretty fat, but they're not really going to be that strong. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, what the coefficient, the correlation coefficient will be. And that's what this question is. So on this IXL, on KK11, they're going to ask you to calculate the correlation coefficient, which is recognized by letter R. Okay? So what we're going to do now is this. You're going to go into stat, and we're going to ask the calculator to calculate something for us. Okay? So right here, these are called regressions. When you take points and you try to fit them to a line or a curve, they're called regressions. So we're going to start out with the line. And so we'll press number 4. Now there are 2. There is another one down here, this linear regression. I'm going to ask you to stick with the 4, please. So you press enter, 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 and you don't see your correlation coefficient. But what you do see is the line. So now you see y is equal to, they don't use m in the calculator, but it's ax plus b in this case. That a is the coefficient. So sometimes they'll ask you to round it to the nearest. So I'm going to do negative 1.685. Let's go to the nearest thousandth. And then x, and then it'll be plus 30.238. Now, the reason I chose those numbers are because those are those coefficients. So the 3 right here drops off, and this 7 rounded this guy up. Now that doesn't help me though. I want to get the R, and the calculator did not produce it for me. There is a way to get that information. So if you ever have to turn your calculator off, you're going to need to turn your calculator back on. So right down here at the 0, you can see the word catalog. So you're going to press second function, and then you're going to press catalog. Now you're just going to scroll down till you get to diagnostics. All right, as soon as you get to diagnostics, that's what you want on. So we're going down, 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 and then diagnostics on, you're going to press enter, and then you're going to press enter again. Now, if I go back to stat, calc, and I make them do the very same thing again, you're going to see the R. Now, the R squared is the squaring, obviously, of the coefficient of correlation, the correlation coefficient. You'll get into this more when you take statistics or in Algebra 2. Right now, your focus is the coefficient or the slope, the y-intercept, and then the correlation coefficient. So they want it rounded to the nearest thousandth. So you would then put in negative 0.874. Now let's see how this works. Let's see if it works for me. So I'm going to put in negative 0.874. Okay. So that is what you're going to do. That worked out really well. I'll do one more of these, and then we'll move on to the next one. So ready? You can always stop the video if you think I'm going too quickly for you. So this will be interesting here because you're going to go into stat edit, and you've got data in here. Now, sometimes what happens is kids go up to the top and they press delete. And when that happens, it's going to delete the whole row, and then you have to restart your whole calculator again. If you restart your calculator, you have to press second function catalog and get your diagnostics back on, or you're not going to see your coefficient that you need. So I just press clear and then enter, and it'll clear that one. You can go up here, press clear, and then enter, and you've got that one. So now we're clear, and here's my data. So stop here and then put it in yourself, and then start again. Okay, so there's my data. The one thing I want you to note is it looks like it's 6 pieces of data, but just realize the cursor is sitting on empty pieces of data right now. So I'm going to go to Stat, Calc, Linear Regression. Oh, actually, let's go look at it first before we do that. Let's just look at it. So we'll go to, let's just go to Graph It. And I don't see a whole lot there. So we're going to have to change this up a little bit. So let's change it to quadrant 1. So we're going to go into Window. Geez, hello, can't see anything. All right, so my min on the X will be 0. Let's do that as 0. And it goes out to 16 on the X, so I'll make that 20. Scale of 1 is fine. Y minimum is 0. Y max is going up to 20. So I'm going to make this go up to, let's say, 25. Let's see if that gives me more. There we go. So what are we seeing here? Now, some may say this looks a little more curved, right? This could be an outlier, and this might be a portion of a quadratic. It's going to be kind of interesting. So, but because they're asking you for the linear piece of it, they're actually making this more the outlier. So what we're going to do is you're going to go into Stat, Calc, hit number 4, linear regression. We're going to take this data and create the linear regression. And you can see it's pretty strong, right? Because we know when the R is like 0.8, 0.9, that's pretty tight data. So the equation of the line would be y is equal to, I'll go to the nearest thousandth on this again, is going to be 1.599x. And then this is your y-intercept. So it's going to be minus 4.071. And the correlation coefficient is 0.8335. They want it rounded to the nearest thousandth. So that means here that becomes 0.834. Now, in one of the IXLs, they're going to ask you for this. And in this IXL, they're just asking us for that. But I'm pulling the both pieces together. Take a look here. They show you y equals ax plus b, which is the same as mx plus b. This is your slope, that first one. This is your y-intercept. Do not worry about r squared right now. And then this is your correlation coefficient, okay? So when you go into here, 0.834, okay? Now, that is what this K11 is. Now I'm gonna back you out of this for a second, and I'm going to show you what you're going to do with this next one. So the scatter plots and the line of best fit, you are actually going to try to write the equation of this line. Now you're only going to do like about 8 of these here, okay? So you're not going to push all the way up on this one. But those 2 yellow points, so they drew a line of best fit, and they want you to use these 2 points to find the equation of the line. So you're going to use the 2 points that you have, which are, we have 4, 9, and we have 6, 0. You need 2 things to write the equation of a line, the slope and the y-intercept, right? So we're going to have 9 minus 0 and 4 minus 6, which is 9 over negative 2, which is negative 9 over 2, okay? Now, note, the calculator wants you to have these in proper fractions or improper fractions, so no mixed numbers, okay? So we're going to leave it like that. So now we have y is equal to, we have the slope, which is negative 9 over 2x plus b. Now we're going to try and find out what the b is. So I'm actually going to use the one with the 0. So I'm going to put 0 in place of the y. I'm going to put 6 in place of the x. 2 is a factor of itself 3 times. So now I have 0 is equal to negative 27 plus b. add 27 to both sides, and b is going to equal 27. So the equation of this line is going to be y is equal to negative 9 over 2x plus 27. Now, how can you know you're right? Well, you can go right on into your calculator and check it out. So let's go in here. Let's go to y1. Now remember, when we want to graph a line, we have to get out of the plots. So you can go up on your calculator and just press enter. As soon as it's not highlighted anymore, it's no longer going to be in statistics. You can also go back to zoom 6 to get to a standard window. All right, then here we go. We're just going to pop this guy in. So he's going to be negative 9 divided by 2. Actually, I should wrap that. So I'm going to wrap him up. So I'm going to insert him. I like to wrap those up. X, and then we have plus 27. Okay, so let's take a look at the table. And we got to make sure these points that I'm looking for here. So I should see 4, 9, which I do right there. And I should see 6, 0. So I know I'm right. Now that I know I'm right, I'm going